Welcome to Mid-Season, where we talk about a one-season show that was kind of mid. I'm Sandile.
And I'm Fadzai.
And we are back to discuss your favorite show and ours, CW's The Secret Circle. Discussing episodes 17 and 18, Curse and Sacrifice. Oh, I forgot to say, because this is going to come out Friday. So that means this Sunday, long awaited by 10 of my closest friends and like 5 strangers.
11 of my closest friends.
11 of my closest friends. Call to the Dark, my supernatural horror audio drama, returns for Volume 2. Releasing on the 19th of April, which is this Sunday. If you know nothing about this at all, crazy. How dare you call yourself a fan of me? I'm joking. I don't know what the Secret Circle numbers are bringing in. There may be new people here. It is a audio drama rooted in Southern African folktales and myths. It is told through epistolary pieces. It is about a young man named Dingane Lutuli who receives a box from his late father, and from there strangeness unfurls. Volume 2 is finally out. It's been a goddamn year, but I'm getting it done. And it will be releasing weekly over the next 10 weeks, give or take maybe a break at the middle of the volume. Huge, exciting. Find it wherever you listen to podcasts. If you're listening to this podcast, you can find this show where you listen. But if you need direction, go to @CallDarkPod on Twitter, Instagram, or Blue Sky to get updates, and you'll also find links in the bio to go to whatever platform you listen on. Very exciting. It's gonna be great. I hope you enjoy, and you may hear some familiar voices. Or maybe you won't. There's a lot of production that happens to it, but you may hear a familiar voice in there. So episode 17.
Way more than 420 blackbirds fell from the sky.
Oh, before we even get to the crows being dead, Calvin Wilson in the previously on, I was like, oh, I guess somebody's about to die the way that he died. Little did I know I was about to be given one of the greatest gifts that I could possibly have received this week. But we will get to that later.
I knew you'd love it.
Oh.
I was just like, oh, there's going to be a reckoning, because a few episodes ago, little Missy was like, have you ever killed anyone, Jake? And Jake was like, well, yes. And she was like, what?
I did not expect a reckoning, because Jake is a protagonist once again. I don't know why he would need a reckoning. And certainly the way this episode ends, he once again seems to be absolved of all, so not much different. But it was fun for the moment. But yes, the blackbirds dead in droves outside the Blake household after the postcoital bliss of one Cassie Blake and one Adam Conant. Shame. It's a really brief moment of like cutesy joy as they wake up in the bed and they're like, did we just do that? Oh my gosh. How was it for you? How was it for you? It's like a really cute moment. And then suddenly
I'm like, listen, Cassie, as teenage supernatural protagonists with blonde hair go, at least you didn't wake up and find that the man turned evil and lost his soul after you had sex.
You know,
it could be worse.
As far as sex curses go, it's not the worst one.
At least you didn't hook up for the first time because you were under the mental influence of a sire bond.
Some would argue that that episode was an incredibly hot long time coming, and that's for them to deal with their god when the time comes. I believe it's John Blackwell who comes running to the house and summons them and is like, oh, so you guys were getting busy last night. And Cassie's like, oh my god, what the hell? You just showed up and you're starting to be my dad and now this is happening? My nightmare. But John Blackwell, as he explained to Ethan Conant in a prior episode, tells them that there is a curse on the Blake and Conant families. This idea of being written in the stars that they've inherited from their parents and predecessors is actually a curse placed on their families by a quote-unquote seer witch. The number of different types of witches all of a sudden. What's a seer witch? I want to know. I mean, I guess it was fake at the end of the day, but I want to know.
Different than a psychic, I guess, since the psychic we meet is like, I'm not a witch.
The birds are apparently just the beginning. a bunch of bad stuff might happen. John Blackwell isn't super clear on this, so he's like, we need to figure out what before something worse happens. Maybe Grandmama Jane might know. And Cassie's like, Grandmama Jane has not been in this show for about 10 episodes, so I don't know what you want from me. And John says, well, we better find her. Meanwhile, Faye, Faye, you know what? Like I said, we're in an era of fun with Faye. I have not been upset with her for a good few episodes so far. And the streak continues, I'm happy to report. She is once again my favorite child of my one children. And I've been very much enjoying her in episodes lately. She's been chasing down the Leela Beck lead because she is like, where the hell did he go? She comes over to Lee's house and finds Ava. The one joke I wrote here was gaslight, shopkeep, witch fraud. That was it. So Ava's pretending that Lee has run off somewhere because he needed some time to think about his complex feelings.
She took a leaf out of the Mystic Falls gang's book and she was like, this person is dead. I'm just going to lie and tell someone they've left town.
Yep.
And they'll never think about them again.
He's in Florida already. He left without saying goodbye to you. Sorry. That must mean he's not really all that interested. And Faye's like, that seems impossible to me. I know he wanted all this, so something must be wrong. And you're at the center of it, you weird, creepy girl. Ava's just standing there like, what did I do? But she did kill him, so, here we are. Faye leaves, but not without making clear that she has intentions of figuring this out. Ava at some point I keep calling her Ava, they say Eva.
Eva. Before she leaves, Faye does try to go in a back room. And Girly is like, excuse me, get out. And telekinetically flings a jar at Faye's head, missing her by inches. But Faye is facing the other way, so she assumes it was thrown.
Yes.
And she's just like, you psycho.
And then it cuts immediately to her telling Diana and Melissa, and then she threw something at me. She's insane. These two episodes, the girlies, this trio of girlies is together all the time, and I really, really love it. But yeah, she's like, God, she's so weird. And I know she's hiding something, this bug-eyed doll or whatever. And Melissa's like, Faye, we know how boy crazy you get. We have the receipts. One of the receipts is currently in our circle. So maybe we're just dramatizing a bit. Maybe everything's fine. And Lee actually is a bum, like I told you. Faye's like, that doesn't fit with my worldview. He must be in trouble.
She also has some facts. She's like, Girly told me that he left town, but his car is still here. So explain that. And it's like, And they're like, he took a cab.
Like, okay,
and I'm like,
any of the public transport.
Who takes a cab to leave town? Do Americans do that?
If you're taking a long trip, you might not necessarily drive there. Then you have to sleep places, you get tired. Just take a cab.
But she claims that he worships his car and would never leave it behind. And I'm like, I don't know when that was established, but okay.
I don't care to go back and check if ever it was, because once again, I don't like this character and I don't care about him. So she's like, I need to figure this out. I'm hitting the beat. I'm a private eye. And you guys are my femme fatale assistants. Let's do this
Charlie's
shit.
Angels.
All right, let's Charlie's Angels this shit.
Let's go search his car for clues. And they're like, that's
illegal?
Like, not if you don't get caught. And I'm like, that's not how the law works, Faye.
You can't just do it because of a shady ex-boyfriend. That's not one of the constitutional rights, unfortunately. And she's like, nah, we're doing this. Grandmama Jane is back.
They said she was doing better.
I don't know who lied. Pretty much I'd like to let whoever that was know.
Somebody lied to her several times.
Why is the first episode my queen, Grandmama Jane, comes back? She is in a home. This woman is 45. I'm so upset. She's in a home. Cassie and John Blackwell come to see her. Of course, she thinks Cassie's Amelia. Cassie tries to remind her. And she's like, oh, okay. And then immediately resets to being like, Amelia, why did you bring John Blackwell? You know I don't like that man. And Cassie is like, don't worry about him. I came to ask about, the Blake and Conant written in the Stars business. I'm sure you're familiar. And Grandmama's like, oh, please tell me you and Ethan aren't going at it because you know what that'll cause. And Cassie's like, yeah, but like, I don't really remember all the details, so maybe you can refresh me real quick. Grandmama Jane goes into oration mode and she says, I think she's the one to say that a seer witch put a curse on their families out of jealousy. This witch cursed the two families, this is centuries ago, so that some pair that was a Blake and a Connet couldn't get together. Because of jealousy, this supposed witch was jealous of them and cursed their entire bloodlines to never be able to get together without horrible things happening. Seemingly specifically physically, because they've been in love with each other for some time.
Yeah.
At least a few episodes. But it is the act of coitus that seems to set it off. She says, once you've done it, and I hope you haven't done it. And Cassie's like, stay on task, Grandma. What happens? And Grandma's like, well, someone in your circle will die. And it's like, oh, okay.
And I know who Sandile was hoping it was.
You know, at the time it didn't occur to me. Because, believe it or not, I don't have malice in my heart by nature. I'm fairly pure of spirit, I like to think. And I was more concerned about the conversation the circle would then need to, and as it turns out, does immediately have, about like, well, what the hell, first of all? You guys have sex and now I'm gonna die? Like, what do I do with this
Wow,
information?
that's not how Faye reacted. Faye was like, oh, so you guys finally graduated from hand-holding. While Diana has a face like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information. This is awkward.
Same Diana's face. Oh, I was like, I know obviously we're well past it, but it does still sting. I get it. It was a very subtle moment that they then moved past. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I will say, when Grandma Jane, because Cassie's like, why would that witch put a curse on our families? And she's like, jealousy. And the camera cuts to John Blackwell looking aside. And I was like, interesting.
Jealousy.
Frankly, a curse just being hateration is really funny to me, but you know, neither here nor there. So yeah, the circle has this conversation in like a cafe or maybe the place where Cassie works. I can't remember. And they all learn this. And I just... Melissa and Diana, the minute they learn, oh, someone might die, they're both like, oh no, I have been feeling off today. Damn, what if this might be it? I was like, what?
Whereas Faye is now the group skeptic. She's like, are you sure, Cassie? Because, I mean, last time we saw your grandma, she was a little...
Cassie's like, don't you dare talk about my grandma. Like, she's like, I mean... it's true.
And then she's like, it's just a story your great-greats told their kids so they wouldn't have sex.
It's abstinence education at work. Brilliant, Faye. Brilliant. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly what this shit sounds like. So Faye's like, I don't care. I'm moving past. And Diane's like, I mean, I'm taking it seriously, but like, what can we do? And so she and Melissa also go. Adam's like, I don't think anyone's dying. I think it's fine that we had sex. And I just need everyone to stop being really weird about this. Cassie's like, well, one person hasn't gotten back to me, so jury's out. And we cut to the home of one Jake Armstrong, lying splayed across his bed, half naked for the titillation of CW's dominant demographic fan base, suddenly wakens to whispers, haunting whispers. Oh my goodness. I'm sweaty and I'm groggy. And I launch up because I hear Cassie calling. Cassie's like, I've been knocking for ages. What the hell? She explains the situation to him, and we see Jake has got black veins crawling up his arm. He's like, I've not been doing so hot. She's like, oh no.
He'd already told her he had like a fever and was having weird dreams. And it was like, oh. And in my mind, I was imagining Brenda Meeks, played by Regina Hall, that clip of her from Scary Movie 2 when she's like, oh yes, thank you, Lord. Now let that shit just mutilate her white ass and just leave. I was imagining you having that reaction.
And then Cassie downloads, well, she brings Adam. I think she came with Adam. She tells Jake, well, when we, and then she pauses because I guess it's too awkward to say, which is like, I guess there's 16, 17, so that makes sense. But I'm just like, guys, let's stop dancing around this. Y'all had sex. Let's keep moving. Maybe Faye is right. This abstinence shit is dug in deep. Y'all can't even say the fact that y'all had sex. It's crazy. Jake figures it out and is like, jealousy. And I'm like, are we still here? It's crazy that we're still here. He starts making comments. Oh, it took a curse for you to realize that being with Adam was a colossal mistake. It's like, I'm sorry. Do you think you still stand a chance here? I was very confused by Jake's response, but alas. But the idea that Adam and Cassie having sex for the first time could kill Jake. Oh, the way I cheered. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jake Girlies. I do not care for this man. And I was ready for him to die this episode. But I knew in the back of my head he has a lot more IMDb credits than up until episode 17. So I guess we'll just watch him suffer for 20 minutes. Then
Papa Blackwell comes in.
Yes, Papa Blackwell comes in and is like, so it is Jake. He is dying. Okay, well, we need a cure for this thing. Here's something in a book that I've got. We need to go to Calvin Wilson's place. He'll probably have the stuff that we need to try and do something to counteract this. Jake, bug-eyed in the corner, immediately is like, I'm sure we can find whatever we need in the abandoned house. I don't know why we need to go to Calvin Wilson.
Blackwell does have the book. It's the ingredients that they need to go get from Calvin.
Very conveniently just has a book with him where he's like, I found the solution. And they're like, why would they
I was eating it up. Call me a fool.
If there's a solution, why didn't my mom take it? I don't know. And Jake's like, who cares? And it's like, okay, I think we're brushing past the question too quickly, guys. This is very convenient. So then they're like, okay, well, we'll go to Calvin Wilson's. I don't see what the issue is. And as they're heading out, Jake starts to hear the whispers louder. At this point, I was like, if Jake dies because he killed Calvin Wilson, who has what he needs to live, the way I'd cackle.
If it isn't the consequences of my own actions.
Of mine own actions. If it isn't my own chickens returning to settle under my warm legs, to cuddle in for the cold night. Ooh. But anyways, Dawn and Charles are still here. I don't know why, particularly this episode, it was so funny for them to pop up in conversation. I was like, y'all are still here.
And they are not. Also, apparently, they have not spoken since he resuscitated her.
Yes.
After the psychic stabbed her.
It's been a week. It's been a week since you called me up. And I'm like, oh, y'all are not efficient at all. I mean, it's not the first example or evidence we've received, but damn.
Their tete-a-tete is so
lock
cute.
in.
Because he's like, I haven't seen you since I saved your life. And she's like, well, I'm here to return the favor and save yours. John Blackwell is alive.
And Charles
Pause
is like,
for dramatic effect. Charles doesn't blink.
Charles is like, it took you a week to tell me he was alive. Like, you're not all that concerned about me, clearly. And I was like, oh, God. Anyway, Dawn is very concerned because she apparently has a contact at the home where Jane is staying. And she's aware that Blackwell visited. And she's like, well, if Grandmama Jane gets better and starts talking, it's not going to take long for John Blackwell to connect you and me to Henry Chamberlain's death and Amelia's death specifically. Charles, you're the one that went all over to
I love how she puts
Amelia's
that on
house
him.
and burned her alive. Do you think John Blackwell's going to be happy about that?
She puts that on him because I think earlier in the conversation, he's like, I've always had a sneaking suspicion Blackwell was still alive. And then she's like, well, you and he are enemies. That means your life is at risk. And he's like, nah, I think if John wanted to kill me, he'd have done something by now. And then afterwards, at the end of the conversation, he's like, well, you killed Amelia. I can't imagine he'd be happy if he found out about that. And I have to ask, was their plan to just leave Grandma Blake mentally ill forever?
Apparently.
Like, were they just hoping she would never get better?
Apparently, given what Charles does at the end of maybe this episode or next episode, it's got to be next episode because we haven't seen her yet. Mm-hmm. Also, the thing that we learn in this conversation is, yes, definitely, Dawn and Charles sided with John Blackwell 16 years ago in the schism of the circle. Mm-hmm. But yeah, now they are aligned apparently to make sure that he doesn't find out that they are up to some shit. She's like, we're so close to getting our power back. And I was like, are you? I don't think you've at any point in this show been anywhere close, please.
When they were looking for the other crystals, I guess. But since that night, I'm like, you guys have just been reacting
since
to
the blood moon or whatever.
Obstacles in your path.
Gosh. The other group goes to Calvin Wilson's house. I guess they just unlock it because we remember Cassie struggled to get in before.
No, it's open.
No, it's open now.
Yeah, his niece is there.
Calvin Wilson's niece is here, a character who gets all of 30 seconds of screen time, even though her uncle is quote-unquote missing, someone who was killed by a main character, and she gets no retribution. Crazy to me. She's just here to give these main characters what they need and then disappear. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll move on from that because we simply don't have the time. John Blackwell, who's leading the charge here with Cassie, Adam, and Jake behind him. Jake's starting to look worse and worse. He hands the list to her and is like, here's what we'll need. Thank you, Calvin Wilson's niece, who's conveniently here. She looks at the list and seems to immediately clock what they're up to because she looks at Jake as well and sees his state and is like, follow me. It's the vibe of like, the shop out front here is for the normies, but you clearly know what you're talking about. Let's go around back. And when she's collecting stuff, she's like, the one thing that I don't have on this list is lethe root. And eagle-eared listeners will immediately go, excuse me? What do you mean lethe root? Lethe being the river in the underworld that make you forget. I was like, whose memory are we trying to wipe now? Especially since we're already messing with people's memories using crystals. What's this lethe root for? If we're just trying to undo a curse. Pin that for later. She's like, go dig out an old tree and you'll find it. It's like, okay, fine. Jake is still doing worse and worse. Makes the mistake of walking past a mirror, and there, standing T-posing, is Calvin Wilson himself staring him down. He starts freaking out. And the thing is, in this world, they've established that ghosts linger sometimes. If they're not, ghosts of witches linger sometimes if they're not killed properly. So I was like, does the Cruet not, was that not what that was for? Like, why is he lingering? And then as it turns out, it's not an actual ghost. Would you imagine? It is a hallucination that he's having because of the curse. But Calvin's there being like, murderer, you killed me. Jake is falling apart. They're like, Jake, you don't look so hot. Maybe you should stay behind. And he's like, no, I'm coming to the woods. I'm coming. And they all leave. And he turns around, looks over his shoulder. The mirror is cracked. There's Calvin Wilson. And he's like bug-eyed again. Adam comes back and is like, Jake, what the hell? Are you coming then or not?
And Jake is so petty. He insists on going with them, and he's like, I really want to make sure we find this route. And when Cassie's like, are you sure that's a good idea? He's like, if only you'd asked yourself that last night. And it's like, really, Jake? Really?
Where's the leg to be petty is what I don't understand. It's been maybe 10 episodes since anything happened with him and Cassie actively. And since then, she has learned like 3 different things about him that should put him completely out of the running. Even Melissa in her Mammy era told him towards the end of the previous episode, you know that she's into Adam, right? Like, you don't have a shot here. So where's he getting this idea?
I do like that Cassie's response is just, let it go. Oh, she's like, I'm not even going to fight or justify or tell you not to slut
I'm not
shame
even
me.
going to coddle that feeling. Love it. Cut back to Charlie's Angels. They are unlocking Leela Beck's very nice car. I don't know where he gets the money for that.
They use the spell. It's truly the most iconic spell of this show, and it's so funny because I didn't know that. It was just a spell that bothered me from the pilot episode, or no, the second episode after they bound the circle, and I didn't realize that it is actually seemingly the most commonly used spell in this show.
Yep. It is their most iconic spell. It is their what would it be? Stupefy. And if they use a different spell, Voldemort would be able to recognize that it's them. Oh yes, this is their Expelliarmus. This is what makes them recognizable. Lock, unlock. Every other circle's like, yeah, I guess we use that spell to get in places, but like, there's more badass magic to do. It really feels like this is a really amateur circle, but everyone's always talking about how much power the circle has. I'm confused.
I thought we had peaked in the other episode when they removed Jake's shackles and they had that like moment where they all look at each other and they're like, we're gonna do it. Lock, unlock. Like, it's
always
so
an
iconic.
Opportunity for a lock, unlock. Never underestimate.
And then they do it again. I'm like, jeez, okay.
All 3 of them lined up staring at the boot of this car. Lock, unlock. The boot pops open. And then for the doors of the car, they do wordless magic. And it's like, okay, if we could wordlessly unlock,
you know,
why are we chanting?
I was like, so why are we saying this dumb spell? And also, it's sad that all 3 of you, half the circle, cast an unlocking spell and you only unlock the boot and not the rest
not the
of
whole
the
car. Not the bonnets as well. Very strange. They look through, they find a bunch of voodoo paraphernalia because once again, this was the White Voodoo King Leela Beck. No clear evidence of foul play. They check the front of his car as Faye's looking through things, pops down the mirror real quick to like tuck in her hair, make sure she looks cute, keeps on looking. A cop pulls up. And I have to say, wow, I'd love to be a white woman being confronted by a police officer.
Yep.
They have the easiest time with this cop, even though at some point they get arrested.
Because Diana it's weird. Diana tries to sweet talk him. She's like, I'm going to handle this. She leads him away and she's like, sorry, officer. The truth is, yes, we did break into the car. My friend here is just like a jaded ex who's like kind of spiraling and dealing with her breakup in an unhealthy way. We didn't need to hurt anyone. I don't
And
know.
honestly, the guy left his car unlocked, so technically we didn't even break in, which is fair, magic notwithstanding. Since they used magic to unlock the car, as far as the real world is concerned, that car was unlocked. They don't have any tools on them. That is something they can very easily get away with.
And the cop, I don't know if he was buying it, but Faye and Melissa decide, no, why is she not using sex to distract the cop? And I'm like, she's a teenage girl. She's a teenage
Because she's a
girl.
child.
And then they telekinetically unbutton her blouse to, I guess, try and seduce the cop.
I sometimes watching this show am just like, guys, I know we're on the CW, but it gets to a point, hey?
I don't know, because Diana definitely didn't want to do that, and I don't know whether that then tipped the scales against her or whether the cop wasn't buying any of this, but they do end up in the back of his squad car for all their efforts.
Hey, at least they're in the back of the squad car unshackled, right?
And then while they're in there, I think Melissa is like, do you want to unlock our way out of this? And I'm like, oh,
And it's
my
like,
God.
and go where, Melissa?
This is truly their most
You will be shot
iconic
first,
spell.
Melissa. Your friends can't shield you.
And it's actually Faye who says, yeah, and then gets shot in the back for running away from a crime scene. And then Diana's like, oh, she wouldn't shoot us.
And then immediately,
right? And
it's
Faye is like,
well,
girl. And I'm like, you know what? Faye is like, my actress is Australian.
Right.
So I can tell you as an outsider, y'all American.
I know your American police force
are
go crazy. Do some
notoriously
insane
trigger-happy.
shit.
And with the three of you here, you are only 5/6 white. So you might not be safe.
Ooh. So, fortunately or unfortunately, Ava rocks up and speaks to the cop, and he immediately lets them go because, I mean, as far as the cop is concerned, she actually lives where the car is parked, so that's her business. And because she's not pressing any charges, they're free to go. Diana and Melissa immediately, so sorry, we didn't want to bother you, thank you for helping us out. Faye's like, bitch, don't even act. You can't fool me.
Like, I know
Everyone's like, Faye,
I know you're
leave.
lying.
We're done, girl.
And then she's like, well, his car is here, and you said he left town. And then she's like,
He left on his bike.
And then
Immediately,
Melissa and
Diana
look at her.
And she's like, well, I forgot about the
forgot about the bike.
That is so funny, actually. Oh, we need a little hijinks this episode. So we cut back to the harbor woods where they're looking for Lethe Root. Adam and Cassie have a cute little moment. Jake is completely delusional about the dynamic here because he's still mouthing off about their relationship. He starts seeing Calvin, not in mirrors now, but just straight up in the woods. When Adam comes up to tell him something, he sees Calvin Wilson coming to him being like, you killed me and you deserve to die.
Before
My
that,
blood is on your hands.
he has a weird moment where he speaks to Adam and he's like, so tell me, how was your first time? Was it sweet and romantic?
What
or
the
did
hell
little
is
Miss
that?
Bad Girl bring her nasty game? And I was like,
What is this?
did the spirit of Faye possess you? What is this?
I don't know what this is. Nothing that Jake, I guess maybe it's part of the only explanation is that it's part of like the curse, like his weird illness that's killing him, that he's just saying weird shit. Because this is all very weird, regardless of how he perceives himself in the
It's
dynamic.
very weird. And when Adam starts to like try and fight him, he's like, I don't care if you're sick. I'm like, yes, Adam, kick his ass.
Right.
And then Cassie has to like come between them and she's like, you're jealous, Jake. And he's like, deep down, you know that it's you and me that should be together. And I was like, Jacob
I
Neal.
had to laugh.
Jacob Neal Lance Billy Joel Armstrong, I need you to stand up, please. This is embarrassing. I think you are possessed by the spirit of Faye. You're being petty and jealous, and you're being kind of pathetic about this love
It
triangle.
is so wildly embarrassing. Play Anthony's song because you need to be moving out. Then he starts hallucinating. I can't remember which one he does first, but the two things he hallucinates.
It's the
one
water
he thinks there's a witch cruet that's been placed on his person, and he's like, who put this on me? Who did this?
And he's like,
Are you trying to tell me something?
I'm not a witch hunter anymore. I've changed.
It's like, okay, buddy, sure. That is a tin canister water bottle. So what are you talking
What's so funny is we see it from his point of view hitting the ground and shattering as a witch cruet. And then Adam just like kneels down and picks it up and is like, dude, this is a metal water bottle.
At a point where he antagonizes Adam and Adam comes up to like fight him, he then sees Calvin Wilson. Well, Calvin Wilson just being like, you killed me. Just like, you die, you murderer. I hate you. He starts losing it. It's so good. And I think at that point, as Adam and Cassie are like going to dig this root out of the tree, they figure out, because Jake starts strangling Adam, thinking it's Calvin, and knocks him to the ground and is like, why are you back? Why are you coming after me? And Cassie's like, no. And then the dark magic sound happens and she's about to, I guess, kill him, which I was like, do it. Do it. But Adam's like, no, baby, no, listen to me. Focus on me. This isn't you. He tells her to focus on him instead. And I presume what he was doing is rerouting her to do circle magic instead.
Yes.
Because he says to focus on him only. And then he does a spell to throw Jake off. Mm-hmm. And then they make sure that each other is okay.
Damn, I was like, oh,
they throw him.
If his neck breaks against that tree trunk, this was all for naught.
And you know, what a shame that would be to put in all this effort just for Jake to die. Oh, my heart breaks. Anyway, they go dig out the root from the hollow tree and they're like, yeah, well, seems like Jake killed Calvin Wilson. And Cassie's like, I knew Calvin Wilson. It's not like all those random other people I didn't know that he killed. This is worse. She's like, why are we going through all this effort? Who cares if he dies? And I'm like, yeah, Cassie. Who gives a shit? I'm supposed to feel sorry for that bitch? I don't.
She also connects the dots and is like, Calvin was helping me, and that's probably why Jake killed him at that point in the story. And it's like, well, yes.
No. Adam's like, it's not your fault. It is Jake's fault because he is a killer. And he's like, well, if we don't help him, we're as bad as him. And I'm like, that's absolute nonsense.
Not
this
true.
Fake trolley problem bullshit that like if we don't help him we're killing him ourselves. No, he's dying because of a curse. I don't care.
These days I think of Francesca Ramsey, our fave. She made the Charlie Kirk video where she like, people will be like, oh well, if you do this you're just as bad, you're no better than him. And she's like, I am better than him. Because I'm not a bigot.
Right.
Because I'm not an asshole.
Right.
I was like, yes.
I'm not a witch hunter. I didn't kill a bunch of people. So...
also, Calvin's ghost says some poetic things to Jake. He's like, you killed me, Jake. Now I'll watch you die. Ooh. You turned me to ash. Now you're going to burn.
Ooh, Calvin Wilson with the bars. I wish it was really him. He deserved much better than this show gave him.
The hunter's curse.
So Adam and Cassie resolve to continue saving Jake, even though it makes no goddamn sense. Back with Dawn and Charles, who go into the home where Grandmama Jane is and continue to mess with her mind. Gosh. Charles brings out the crystal, waves a spell over her, and is like, okay, now she's ready for the mental manipulations. And Dawn starts asking, oh, you saw John Blackwell, didn't you? What did he say? And we don't hear that because they cut away, but we presume she tells them everything that happened earlier. Jake getting worse and worse, his like behavior, and he's like trying to justify his shit to someone else now to be like, it's not my fault that Calvin Wilson's dead. The witch hunters made me do it. And I was like, oh, you were just following orders? Okay, buddy. Cool.
Tall, blonde-haired white man.
Right. You're an innocent lamb who did no wrong. Oh, at this point, they're in the abandoned house because they've gathered, I believe,
Papa
most
John
of the circle.
With Melissa.
And John Blackwell and Melissa are having a scene together because other than the lethe root, the rest of the stuff they're putting together now in the abandoned house. Yes. And Melissa's giving pointers being like, I put a UV light on this thing and that's how I get it to grow indoors at night, even though it needs direct sunlight all the time. And John's like, oh, that's amazing. And she's like, well, I learned it from a man and a man taught me because I can't have my own skills. And John, a feminist,
John,
is like, John, a feminist, when she's like, you should use a coffee grinder instead of a mortar and pestle to go faster. And I was like, I don't think you'd get the same texture, but whatever, you know what you're doing. And he's like, wow, the creativity of your mother. And she's like, I didn't realize you knew my mom that well. Oh my God. And he's like, yeah, she's a wonderful person and she thought the world of you. I was like, okay, Melissa getting a little moment. And the thing about this is, because I forgot to bring it up after, this is the thing, is that it was the mid-season finale when Isaac, remember Isaac, mentioned that Cassie's not the only Blackwell child in the circle. And so there's been a thing going on kind of threaded through the last 7 episodes of, well, who else could be John Blackwell's child? And I think the very obvious, pick, because of how much she spends trying to get Cassie's dark magic and just get solo magic in general, and because of her general demeanor and vibe, is Faye Chamberlain. Dawn Chamberlain very clearly was enamored with John Blackwell. They've sort of been playing like a game of did they, didn't they, in terms of John and Dawn's relationship in the past. So that's kind of up in the air. There is Jake Armstrong being immediately so ready to view John Blackwell as a papa. Been attached at the hip for like a couple episodes now. And now this moment here is like, well, we didn't realize you were that close with insert name Glazer. I don't even know if Glazer was her surname, because it could have been her dad's surname. And he's like, well, she was very dear to me, and I think you're wonderful, my child. Maybe? Don't know. But here's a moment we've thrown in. So they're really playing that game of like, any of them could be the Blackwell seed.
I think it's funny that Melissa supposedly learned like herbology skills from Nick purely because Nick was always brewing drugs.
Yes, that's literally it. He learned to do plant things to make drugs. Our hero, Nick Armstrong. I would never take away from that. It's still a skill you learn. It is funny though that like they've now positioned Melissa as the plant girly, because in a Cartoon Network show from a few years prior to her being on this show, she played a dryad for an episode. And she had big old tree arms in the most climactic moment that didn't look very good CG because, again, it was the Cartoon Network. It was Level Up, that show that has A-Train as one of the lead characters.
Oh, that one that I never
watched. And
watched.
Amy Carrera, I believe.
I don't know how I've never seen that, because I learned afterwards that A-Train was on was it Cartoon Network?
Yes, I believe it was Cartoon Network. And it was subversive, well, it was 2010 submersive, because the main character, who was a nerd when he went into the Level Up world, well, I guess when the Level Up world comes out to them, because they are in the real world when they do it, he becomes the like physical fighter, and A-Train, who's the jock at school, becomes the mage. And it was always really funny. Oh no, she wasn't in that. She was in the other Cartoon Network show, The Troop, which had Gage Golightly of Teen Wolf fame as one of the leads.
What were all these live action shows doing on Cartoon Network?
I don't know. It was their live action offering. They had one at a time. It was fun. I liked The Troop. They were more like X-Files sci-fi than video game sci-fi.
I see.
But yeah, what were we talking about? Melissa, Blackwell. Right, they're putting the ingredients together.
That's when they had the discussion about Cassie feeling guilty and Adam saying, it's not your fault. Jake is a killer because he's a killer.
Finish and
And then she's like, thank you for pulling me back from the edge before I hurt Jake.
Right, yes. And he's like, well, we're stronger than dark magic and any of this, referring to the curse that is trying to beset them. And it's this really lovely moment. I just like how cute they are in a very like understated way, I feel like. I truly am a proponent of like, because the romances on the CW are always so goddamn explosive that I'm just like, give me my hearth burning fire. But back to
Faye, who finds Lee's motorbike hidden under a tarp in his shop, and she's like, bitch.
Faye goes back by herself to the house and looks through the garage and sees the bike and goes, bitch. And Ava immediately walks in, like, what are you doing here? And Faye's like, why don't you tell me?
She's like, nice bike. Is that the one Lee rode out of town?
Ava's like, leave. And Faye's like, maybe I will leave. And maybe I'll go call that cop we all hung out with earlier. Let's see what he has to say. And as she's about to turn, that's when she goes, stop! And a door shuts. And now it's unmistakable to Faye that this girl is using magic. She turns and goes, you have magic? And the girlie's like, what of it? And she's like, oh, it's the stupid voodoo totems that Lee was using. That's my power coursing through your veins right now. And this has Eva soften a little bit. And she's like, wait, you know what's actually going on? You're a witch? maybe you can help me. Let's put all that shit aside. Let's put all the posturing aside. Who cares? Come with me. Grabs her by the hand and goes. She's like, I didn't even really know what I was doing, so it's low-key not my fault, and it's actually your power that did this, so you have to fix it. Opens the door and shows her Lee's rotting body. He is damp and moist with extent decay. Oh my goodness. I can't imagine. It probably smelled crazy.
And Faye looked horrified. My poor girl.
Wild.
Oh no.
Faye having to process the fact that her kind of sort of situationship is dead, and that now she is in the situation with a killer who has magic. She's like, I have to go. And she's like, no, resurrect Lee. She's like, I'm not God.
She literally
I
says
can't do that.
And you know what's so funny? We joke about the magic on this show and how not flashy it is. And truly, Faye is like, I've been listening. I understand. She's like, I'm not God, Ava. I can't just make someone live. I unlock locks and I cheated cards and I get hot pizza guys and I can't even do any of that without someone helping me.
It's like, damn. That really is it, huh? I'm glad you know, Faye. I'm glad you, the most power hungry of the group, is vocalizing this. Ava's like, well, I don't care. Your power did this, so you have to do this, or else I'll kill you. And it's like, what? You killed the man. How's that on me? So now Faye has to pretend that she was lying and that she can actually resurrect
It seems
him.
Eva doesn't believe that Faye is telling the truth. She thinks that Faye is either lying or just being difficult. And that's why she's like, no, you will stay here.
To what end? She also liked Lee. If she could bring him back, wouldn't she do it? It doesn't seem like Ava's particularly stable in this moment, as we'll learn later. But she's like, okay, I'm a very powerful witch. I just lost my self-confidence for a second. We can bring him back.
Oh, yes. She threatens Faye by withering her hand for a few seconds. And I was like, oh, no.
We're in trouble now. Time to fake it till we make it out of this house. She takes Ava into the room with Lee's dead body. None of them pinch their noses. I don't buy it.
Maybe because she desiccated him, there's no smell. Like, she sapped all the juices out of him, so he's just jerky.
Then why is he moist? I saw him the first scene and he was moist in the face. It was gross.
I don't know.
They sit on either side of his bed. She's like, make sure to focus on him. We need to chant. And then she thinks for a second, making up some bullshit. Memento moriatum. And then Girly repeats it and she's like, it's Leviosa, not Leviosa. If you don't get it right, then the magic won't work. And Ava's like, oh, right. I'm sorry. Of course, you're the witch. She starts repeating it. Faye rummaging around and then sees, okay, there's the other voodoo totem because the one that got snapped is the thing that causes problem. Maybe if I can get to this, I can fix it. She's like, all right, wait, hold on. I forgot the candles. Obviously, when we do witchcraft, we need candles. Do you have some? Ava's like, are you lying to me? Faye convinces her to go get some candles. She thinks Girly's out of the room. I don't know why, because at the point that the camera pans and she turns away, Ava's still looking at her. She hasn't left the space. Faye's already reaching for the voodoo totem, pulling it out of the bed, and then we see Ava's arm come from off screen and she goes, you lying bitch.
Which, whenever that happens on
God.
TV, I'm like, where was your peripheral vision? Where were your ears? You would have seen or heard her approach you.
In her high heels, which she's wearing. Why didn't you hear it? Maybe there's carpeting, I don't know. She threatens to get her again. Faye's like, all right, Leroy Jenkins this shit, runs and pushes her over and grabs the totem and sprints out of the room. I think, does Eva fling her across the room with magic?
I think so, because at some point, Eva snatches the totem back. So when Faye runs into the other room, she's no longer holding it. And I was like, girl,
Right.
wild of you to leave that behind.
That's stupid.
That was the whole point of this.
Faye manages to get the totem and snaps it, and then Eva immediately changes expression, is like, what happened? What am I doing? Faye taking a breath, being like, what do you think you're doing? She's like, I don't know. And she's like, okay, well, that's a good thing. I think everything's right here. Immediately adjusts her hair and starts leaving. And Eva's like, I didn't mean to kill Lee, I promise. Gives her one mildly empathetic look and then continues to leave. Very real, Faye. Not your problem, not your circus, not your monkeys. Get the hell out of there. They save Jake. Oh, right.
potion, the elixir.
So John Blackwell comes in to speak to Cassie and Adam and says, well, the cure isn't for Jake. It's for you guys.
Dum,
and
dum,
Cassie's the one who has to break it to Adam because John told her privately. And she says, well, the thing that's cursing Jake to die is our love. So we need to take this potion that has a lethe root in it to make us forget that we love each other. What do you say, Adam? Doesn't that sound like a fun time to save our bestie Jake, whom we love and who loves us? We should give up our happiness so that a man who plotted with witch hunters to kill us all can survive. Which is what Adam says. Finally, he's like, what the hell? This is crazy. I don't give a shit about Jake. I am not going to forget
Adam
you.
is like, I am jumping off my high horse. I am not about to pretend to be the better person here. No, I don't want to give up my love for this guy.
We lose our happiness because of that man? No. And she says, we have to. He's one of our circle. I'm like, if he dies, you guys get more power. I don't know why we're like worried about that.
Or it passes on to another Armstrong. I'm still not sure how this works.
Who knows? Who knows?
But when Blackwell came in to tell her that, to drop that mic, I was reminded of the scene in Avengers Infinity War where Gamora's like, tee-hee, Thanos can't get the Soul Stone because he has no one that he loves. And Thanos is like bowing his head, tearing up. And she's like, tears, really? And then Red Skull is like, they're not for him, Lipshin. They're for you. That's what I was thinking with the elixir. They're not for him, Lipshin. They're for you.
It sucks. It sucks and I hate it here. They have to sit there and drink this potion a la Romeo and Juliet and wait for the love to disappear from their bodies. Adam very emotionally tells her there is nothing that could make him forget her and their love, not forever. And then they down it, and then they go to sleep on the couch, tucked into each other. In the other room, John Blackwell goes to Jake Armstrong. Jake, who's like, so they're going through with it? And John's like, well, yeah. And he's like, I don't deserve it. And I'm like, well, yeah. And John Blackwell's like, well, you're a part of the circle. You matter. And I'm like, since when? What is this narrative? I don't care. I was really hoping it would be a thing of like, well, you think you're not worth what they're doing for you? You're right. You need to. The thing that Stefan tells
said to Matt
about Elena dying to save his life is you need to work every day of your life to earn that gift that you've been given. Unlike Matt, Jake would deserve that. Mm-hmm. But alas, it's Jake, you matter. Your sense of self-worth must be preserved. Good luck with that. It's
and he's like, I killed Kelvin. They don't know me. And he's like, well, that's all in the past.
It's like, oh, okay, I'm glad you've decided John Blackwell. St. Peter at the gates.
And he's like, no, but the look on Cassie's face when she found out, I'm surprised she didn't let me die. And I'm like, yeah, we all are, Jake.
Me too.
You know, we're not the writers of this show.
But John Blackwell is invested in this working out for Jake because it must work out for him. He then says a man can change his ways or whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, so this is about you. It's two dumb bitches telling each other exactly. And then the next morning, Cassie and Adam wake up and Adam is vibing very different. He's very casual. He's like, oh, wow, I feel weird. I'm not nervous. And Cassie's like, nervous? When were you nervous? And he's like, when I'm around you and when I think about you and whether I'm good enough for you. And she's like smiling, thinking of like all the ways he loves her. And he's like, yeah, I don't feel that right now. I feel good. And it's like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, me too. It feels like, you know, our relationship and our love was a beautiful movie, but like someone else's movie watched a week ago. He's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. You really put it into words. I'm so glad we handled that. We will watch Game of Thrones when I come back, but I gotta go to work. Love you, bestie. Cheers. Gosh. Kisses her on the cheek and then leaves. And then Cassie breaks down. John comes to her in the living room later and is like, what happened, girly pop? And she's like, well, Adam forgot me, but I still remember everything. I'm still in love with him. And John, the bastard, says, oh, your dark magic must have been too strong. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. And it's like, oh, because... And I can't remember if it's before this or after this wonderful moment where Cassie breaks down crying and her father embraces her, as a father should, to comfort her. But he speaks with Dawn Chamberlain, who quite literally chases him down the road. Be like, hey, John Blackwell, let me tell you something. There is no Blake Conan curse. If there was one, Amelia would have told me, because apparently her and Amelia were best friends. I don't know. You made that shit up. And then you somehow made Jane make that shit up to Cassie so you could keep her and Adam apart. You have magic, don't you? John immediately cops to it. It's like, yes, I do, but not enough to protect them from what's coming. Did you know Amelia and Ethan were planning to leave the circle because of their love? They left y'all unguarded, and that's why y'all got slaughtered there. And it's like, I think there were a number of other extenuating factors that were why they got slaughtered that day, but okay. I guess it's Amelia and Ethan's fault for being in a relationship because your jealous ass couldn't handle it. Embarrassing, loser, boo, tomato, what a loser, I don't like him.
And Dawn is like, I thought you didn't have magic. And he's like, yeah, well, I have a little bit. Enough to, kill a flock of birds, curse Jake, and almost make him die.
Enough to convince Jane Blake to sell my story, but not enough to fight the witch hunters, apparently. That's why I need the circle to stay strong. And for that, Adam and Cassie, I guess, must be miserable. And then he tells Dawn, you better keep that shit quiet because you know you don't want to be my enemy. And Dawn's like, you're right, Daddy. Keep going.
And they reaffirm once more that the witch hunters have some traitor witch working for them.
They keep saying that, and I can't for the life of me not even remember. I can't figure out who it could be. Am I stupid? Have we not accounted for all the witches who exist currently that we know? Because it can't be some stranger. It has to be someone we know. Oh, at some point towards the end, Diana and Melissa comfort Faye as she cries because I guess Lee is dead or whatever. And they're like, we're sorry for not believing you. And she's like, well, you still came with me to break into a car. So that's sisterhood right there. And she's so right. What a beautiful moment for my Charlie's Angels. And yeah, that's the episode. It's a bit embarrassing that Dawn doesn't know yet that the hunters are back because they've been back for a while.
Also, wasn't she told by Miss Psychic that the hunters were running around?
Indeed. I guess she's like, they're not in town.
I guess she blocked the memory when she got stabbed right afterwards.
I don't know. I really don't. Next, episode 18 is Sacrifice. Mm-hmm. The demons are back.
Oh, gosh.
By the demons, I mean the demons of the breakup between Adam and Cassie, because this shit is tragic. We open in the cafe where Cassie's working. She is trying to work through the pain because once again, she must now shoulder these emotions by herself. Melissa and Faye are having a little like peanut gallery moment about the breakup.
Faye is so evil. Faye is like, it's such a relief that I never again have to see Adam bat his oversized eyelashes at Cassie's undersized head. And I was like, Firstly, yes, Adam has beautiful eyelashes. But second, I was like, how dare you say that about Cassie?
She's made fun of her height. She's now calling her head small. Like, leave her alone. They called me pretty girl, model. They were relentlessly bullying me. Also, Adam's here. His vibe is so weird now.
Also, is his voice even deeper now? What's happening?
That's what it is. In my head, I thought his voice would go towards normalcy because now he doesn't have to impress any girls. All the girls in his circle are like platonic to him now. But his voice goes even mistier and deeper, and I can't tell if he's flirting with everybody. I don't know what's happening.
When he's not in love, he lacks confidence and has to butch it up some.
I guess.
So he's like, oh, hey, Cassie. And she's like, oh, yeah, no, my tray that you almost bumped out of my hands. It's okay. I learned from the best. And he's like, huh? He's like, you taught me how to hold a tray? And he's like,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. No, I do remember that. And the implication is the memory's not gone. It's just that he doesn't have emotional connections to it anymore.
Actively thinking about it. It doesn't come back to him in quiet moments where he's fondly like thinking about it. Yeah, it's... I'm struggling. It is really sad. He very sultrily asks all three of these girls, because I don't think Diana's here. He asks all three of the girls to help him fill waitstaff at the boathouse because the hockey team of the school, I assume, not the town, but I don't know. But they are having some celebratory dinner at the boathouse and there's not enough waitstaff. And his dad's not here because As it turns out, Ethan Conant is not in the rest of the show. I was so stunned to learn that his last appearance was that one where he gets scoped by Cassie. He does not appear again.
So the last time we see him is when John lies to him that, yeah, your whole reason for being this Blake Conant written in the stars thing is a lie.
Yep.
It's a curse.
John Blackwell ruins his entire state of being. Adam talks about how his dad is doing worse again.
Oh, no.
But he will never return to learn that it was all a lie. And I hate that.
Oh, shame. Also, in a small town like this, the team for the school is basically the team for the town. Because these towns have one school.
You're so right. They don't have a professional hockey team. This is the high school team and the JV team and the professional team all in one. But yeah, he's like, come help me. I'll pay you guys $10 an hour. Faye's like, 15. I know my worth. And he's like, okay, deal.
And he offers her wings as well. Actually, he says, I'll give you $10 an hour. And she's like, 20. And he's like, 15 and free wings. And as he says the wings part, she's like, ew. But okay.
But I'll do it.
And I'm like, so you don't eat carbs, you don't eat wings, what do you eat?
And then Melissa's like, oh, it's so sad, Adam. It's tragic, right, Faye? Faye's like, what's tragic is not asking for 20. And then she looks back at her. And then randomly, we get a snippet of some rando running, and we see that Sammy Rotibi's Eben has returned. The witch hunters are chasing some guy with his hands bound, and they're like, Eben, he's gone into Chance Harbor. And he's like, that is fine. We'll just have to work faster. And it's like, oh, I have no idea what this could possibly mean. But yeah, then that's la da 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 da, and then we go into the episode proper. John Blackwell shows up to Cassie's workplace, and she's like, oh, hello. Can I get you something? Their interactions are always so funny to me. If there's nothing like world ending going on, they don't know how to move around each other. He's like, yeah, I'll have a coffee. She's like, good choice. Tick, tick, ticky, tick, tick, ticky. Here's your coffee in. He's like, so mini golf. That's fun, right? You want to go mini golfing? He's got his fists at his side, very daddily. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, I'm just trying to connect. I don't know. And she's like, oh, okay, that's cute. Yeah, we can play mini golf. Let's be daddy-daughter. Let's have fun. Meanwhile, at the boathouse, Adam's getting preparations underway for the dinner. Diana's already there because obviously if there's something going on in the boathouse and Adam needs help, Diana's going to help him. But apparently, our old pal Grant is back from Prince William's Sound, I think. And for whatever reason, Adam is not upset, but frictiony about the fact that Grant is... I think he sends over a champagne flute. It's an inside joke that he and Diana have from the casino night. So he brings over to Diana, and Diana's like, not a glass, a flute. Haha, we're so cute. And Adam's like, who the hell is that? And she's like, oh, give me a second. Goes over to talk to Grant. Grant's like, I told you I'd come back. And she's like, ha 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 ha, cute. So where we going? And he's like, we'll go on a date. She's like, I'm a little busy. Actually, give me 1 second. And then she goes back to Adam and is like, I know I said I'd help. And as you know, I'm doing it from free, unlike these other bitches who are getting paid. But can I bail? I have a date. And then Adam says something that is valid, but the tone he says it in makes it really weird. He's like, are you sure going out with some random guy is a smart idea? And it's like, who the hell are you?
And his voice is still super deep. I'm like, Adam, are you possessed? Is the demon in today's episode in you?
The whole time I'm like, what is your vibe now that you're not in a relationship? I don't get it. This wasn't you between Diana and Cassie.
My theory is now that he feels nothing for Cassie, maybe there's some lingering feeling of possessiveness over Diana, his ex, and it's like, I can't just let her have her running off with some random guy.
I was like, I guess, but it's not that we reset back to pre-Cassie. It's that we jumped forward to post-Cassie. So shouldn't those feelings be further away in the past?
They were being buried under the Cassie feelings, and now the Cassie feelings are gone.
Sure.
So he can see them more clearly.
Sure. The lingering feelings. But yeah, he says that, and she's like, haha, thanks, Dad, and then goes off anyway because she can do what she wants. Then we see the hockey team led by, I don't know if, is there an equivalent of quarterback for hockey? Star player? I just watched Heated Rivalry. I should know this. No, actually, I shouldn't, because Heated Rivalry isn't super concerned about the hockey aspect of the thing. But I digress.
Imagine that. All I remember is that the star player is what's his name from Jane the Virgin.
Always playing a jock asshole in everything I've seen him, except for Jane the Virgin, where he's playing the objectively better love interest. I can't remember his name because I haven't watched Jane the Virgin in years. Love that man. So wonderful, so great. I don't care what anyone says, because would you believe it, between him and Justin Baldoni's Raphael, everybody was into Raphael. And I was like, I don't think Raphael's, he kind of sucks a bit.
I still have to binge that show properly.
Way too much baggage. Say again?
I still have to binge that show properly. I started and then I stopped because life
How much
got
have
in
you
the way.
seen?
Like the first few episodes of season 1, I think. And then and before I had started it properly, I did catch like a few episodes in the middle when, spoiler for anyone who wants to watch Jane the Virgin.
Spoiler. This is such a big spoiler.
Petra already had the twins, and her
My
Eastern
fave.
European mother was in
My
town.
insane fave.
Oh, Petra.
I love her. Oh, PSA for anyone who's not seen Jane the Virgin, one of the better shows to come out of the CW. It is a send-up of telenovelas within the envelope of a CW show, thereby being itself a telenovela, but like playing with the tropes of it. It's so much fun, and it's so funny, and it's so heartfelt. And you will be sobbing at times that you did not expect to be sobbing, just because the previous 10 minutes was just like uproarious laughter. It's great. It does star at its heart Gina Rodriguez, who at this point in life, middling opinions on Gina Rodriguez. I won't say much, but heebie-jeebies. She puts on a great performance in that show. And if you don't care for her, her biological father in that show is one of the funniest characters I've ever seen in any television.
And he is so fine.
I mean that with my entire heart. It's another beautiful day to be Rogelio, Rogelio. Enjoy your day.
And I think I pointed out to you that I was like, her parents look weirdly young, and you were like, that's on purpose because of the genre. And I was
That
like,
is intentional and on purpose. It's so good. God, I love that show. Oh, God. Now I'm just thinking about Jane the Virgin. Yes, hockey. The hockey people are here. And as it seems, this episode for Faye and Melissa is going to be about competing to win the affections of some hot hockey dude.
A different hockey rivalry.
They both are like, oh, he's so cute. What nice, normal... Because Diana's off having a romance with some normal guy. They're like, maybe a little normal outside of the craziness of witchcraft could be fun for me or for me. And then they turn and look at each other and are like, it's on. So that's their storyline for the episode. Personally, for me, a great moment for Melissa. Melissa immediately asks Adam for assistance. Adam's like, I don't want to get involved. I'm busy running my business here. And she's like, come on, you know you want to see Faye's face when I win. That's always fun. And he's like, I guess you're right. His voice is getting progressively lower throughout the episode.
Adam, Wolverine,
He's weapon 26 or whatever. I forget how many there are at this point. So then he's like, go over to him, focus on hockey, I'll do the rest. And so she goes over to him and is like, hey, I was just thinking about your match. And he's like, okay, what about it? And she's like, I was just thinking about, I don't know if you caught the Canucks playing against the Gregorys and how they flip-simmed the puck into the side cock. And it just reminded me of how you joshed the Dringen on the field. And it was just really cool. And Brett Deer starts orgasming live in front of everybody. And it's like, okay. The entire hockey team is now looking at Melissa being like, a girl who sports?
A hot girl who knows sports.
Oh, go.
But before she starts speaking, Faye is busy putting her flirt on. And Melissa bumps her out of the way. And she's like, excuse me.
So stupid. I love it.
So shocked. And for some reason, it reminded me of the last time we dealt with demons when Melissa was possessed and she bumped into Principal Chamberlain and she was like, watch it! She was like, excuse me.
They said it's a spiritual callback to the last demon episode. So that keeps going. Cut to, I think, Diana and Grant's date. They have gone ice skating. Very cutesy, very lovely. He has apparently jimmied the lock for them to get in because it's after hours. Breaking and entering is what we call that.
And he's like, it's a rite of passage for Australian boys. We all learn how to jimmy locks. And I was like, stop lying to these Americans. They'll believe you. They won't realize it's an obvious joke.
I was like, I've never heard the stereotype before. I don't know what a potato gun is myself, I'll be honest. Is it just a gun that shoots potatoes?
I've never heard
How
of
big
that.
is the conveyance?
That was my first time hearing it. At one point, Diana accidentally says tomato gun. And he's like, potato gun. And I was like, oh, I like the way he says potato. Potato.
At least a tomato explodes. It's like ammunition. I don't know. I guess a potato does more damage. It's for the impact. Enough about vegetable firearms. They are on the date. He's like sweet talking, romancing. He's like, baby girl, I'll take you on my boat anywhere you want to go. And I'm like, again, this is a minor. He makes a comment. He's like, while little Diana was braiding hair, little Grant was learning how to shoot potato guns. I'm like, little Grant and little Diana were not little at the same time. So I don't know why we're here.
I still don't know how old he is.
He's sailing about the world. Quite notably, he then asks her, come away with me. I've been thinking about this for some time, even though I've met you twice total. I want you to sail the world with me. I was like, she can't legally do that because she's a minor. She would need her parents' approval to join you on that cruise.
As I said last time we discussed Grant's age, I was like, listen, to make myself feel better, I'm just going to remember that Australians finish high school at 17. And unlike Americans of the Northern Hemisphere, the Australian school year ends at the end of the proper year, like ours does. So everyone is 17, ideally, when they leave school, which means he might be like his first year out of school and be 18, or his second year out of school and be 19.
So the thing about that is that I'm not interested in that. So here we are, I guess. It's a grown-ass man. So yeah, he's like, sail away, sail away. She's like, I'm a child. And that ends that. He's like, I'm a fast learner. And she's like, well, you're a slow skater. And then she skates away and she's like, ha. And I was like, I really like Shelley Hennig. She has such lovely energy. I'd forgotten she was in The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window, Netflix hit series.
Really? I still have to watch that.
You still haven't watched that? It's so
I need
good.
to cleanse the last time I saw her from my palette, which was the Teen Wolf movie, which was terrible.
I hear that,
So-
and I feel that. Also, now that you've seen Girl on a Train, and I think at some point we should watch Woman in the Window, it'll give you the fuel that you need to like really get what that series is doing in a way that I don't think a lot of people did, which is a shame.
Okay.
But nonetheless, that man who was running away from Eben
witch
at the beginning of the
hunters, yeah.
episode breaks into Jake's house. And then he and Jake fight it out, and he's like, you snuck into my house. And then Cassie sees them fighting through the window.
He clearly knows Jake, but like Jake is like, no, I'm the only witch hunter who could ever, I guess, switch sides or be good. I'm glad
you said it.
beat the stuffing out of him.
Because
He's
it's
like,
bold as hell.
He's literally saying, Jake, wait, listen. He's like trying to get him to calm down.
Jake's just beating his ass. No, you're a witch hunter. You must be evil. You were a witch hunter not 2 weeks ago. Let's not act. Anyway, Cassie just using dark magic willy-nilly once again now. I guess now that the relationship with Adam's over, throws this man off. And then she and Jake tag team interrogate this guy. And he's like, I ran away from Eben. Jake and I, we served together. And she's like, served together? Really? Correct response, Cassie. This faux military bullshit. He's like, I'm here to speak to John Blackwell. He's the only one I want to speak to. And Cassie's like, oh, it's a trick to entrap my father. They tried this shit before. I'm not falling for it again. And he's like, I'm serious. Jake, come on, you know how it is. And then eventually I guess they call John Blackwell because he shows up and he's like, oh, so this is the guy. I'll speak to him myself. You guys head back. And then they do stay back. And then he closes the sliding doors and they let him speak to him alone, which is crazy to me. I know we are all like absorbing and accepting that, oh, John Blackwell's chill and good. I still want to know what the deal is because clearly it concerns Eben, my main enemy and op. You know?
Just,
I don't know.
wow.
So we get a whole ass download. Eben is apparently resurrecting demons, is what he describes it as, like John Blackwell did 16 years ago, which is crazy. Until, as they remind you in this download, Oh yeah, there were demons 16 years ago that ended up in the body of Heather Barnes. Apparently that was because of John Blackwell. The guy says, we know that you were resurrecting demons. You had promised to give them bodies so they would walk in the physical world. And it's like, hello? Whose bodies? The circle? What's going on?
This scene was such a clumsy, as you know, trope, because he's not only is he relaying to John, oh, I know ABC, that you already know. It's like me being like, oh, Sandile, I know about the school that you went to and the friends you had. And it's like, okay, I think you could just tell Sandile you know his school and he'd be like, okay, cool, I believe you. You don't need to like list the things that the person you're talking to already knows. But what makes it funnier is that John is like physically hitting him as he's speaking.
Yeah,
he's like
just slapping him
around.
Backhanding him in between downloads, just being like, okay, and what else? It's like, what's happening here? And the guy's like, oh, you already know, you're just testing me. And it's like, okay, cool. And then as the download is towards its ending, Cassie comes through one of the other doors to this enormous room in this enormous house, as American houses often do. So I don't know what the like deal was with the closing of the doors, if there were other entrances into this. She hears, she then accosts him afterwards and is like, you're the one who raised the demons that terrorized Melissa, the demons that killed Nick? And he's like, yeah, sorry, that was a mistake. They are saying that I sacrificed somebody to do it, but that's a lie. My Balcon blood was enough to do it without needing to sacrifice anybody. So it's actually chill, guys. I just summoned the demons, that's all.
And they accept this. Also, Jake's old serving buddy is named Samuel. He was apparently going to be the new sacrifice that Eben was going to use.
He's like, if Eben's trying to get these demons, then he's going to absorb them into himself, and then he's going to be super powerful, and then we can't stop him. So we've got to figure this shit out. Summon the circle. We have got to get everybody together to even stand a chance. Meet at the abandoned house, and then we'll sort this out. Cassie calls up Adam. Cutting back to Adam and 2/3 of Charlie's Angels, Faye has at this point gone to Adam and be like, no fair, you just helped Melissa would try to win. You have to help me too. Like, come on. And then she literally bats her eyes at him like a puppy dog.
And somehow that works.
And Adam's like, fine. And then he helps her because Brett Deer is currently struggling to land any darts as he's playing with Melissa. Faye comes up and is like, do you need a little help? And then she throws a dart and lands a perfect bullseye. And then she puts a dart in his hand and guides his hand to help him throw a perfect bullseye. And everybody clapped and everybody cheered.
And Melissa, you see Melissa storming off like on the side being like, ooh, amazing, well done.
It's like, girl, you also cheated. Like, okay. At the point that Cassie calls up Adam and is like, hey, we've got a situation, get the girlies, meet us at the abandoned house. By the way, when she calls and says that, she says to Jake, Diana's not been responding to my phone. I'm gonna go find her. Jake's like, okay, I'll gather the circle and we'll meet you at the abandoned house. And I'm like, she's already gathered the circle. What does that mean? How is Jake gonna gather the circle? The circle's been gathered. What does that line mean?
I don't remember.
Are we just trying to make it seem like Jake is doing something? I don't understand. Anyway, Adam, as he leaves the call, some girlie walks in and then goes to him, I guess because he's the bartender, and is like, hey, have you seen Brett Deer? And he's like, yeah, he's right over there. And she goes over to him and is like, oh, hey, baby, and then kisses him on the face. And he's like, oh, I wondered where you disappeared off to. And I think Melissa is there at this point and is like, oh, okay. And then very quietly shuffles off elsewhere to be like, well, I guess that's done. And she and Faye sit awkwardly at a table being like, oh, this is awkward. Adam, on the other hand, gets all pissed off and walks up to him. I thought rightly so until the energy escalated and was like, oh, you had a girlfriend this whole time? You've been flirting with my friends the whole night. And he's like, ha, dude, what are you talking about? Gritting his teeth, pulls him aside and says, that's my girlfriend. Have some respect. It's like, have some respect for your cheating? I don't know. I won't. As Adam says. But then Adam tries to fight him and it's like, oh, what's going on here? And then Faye and Melissa come and stop him and are like, dude, you're being crazy. And that's when it's like, oh, this whole time I thought it was just a weird acting choice that he was making, that like Adam's vibe is different now. But no, he's genuinely off. Something's wrong. That's why he's been weird all episode. That's why his voice is Logan low. Like something is wrong here. And when they are like, hey, dude, we're your friends. And moreover, we know what you're feeling right now. Both of our love interests died. So what's the haps, dude? And he's like, I can't explain to you what it's like to know that for a split second you were perfectly happy and everything was right with the world. And now it's gone. And I can't even remember it. And it was like, oh shit. Yeah, even though, unlike Cassie, he doesn't have all the memories, it is still bad because it's like, well, I know that it happened at some point, and now I feel like I'm missing something. As it seems, Adam is also still suffering because of what John Blackwell has done to him. So they're like, hey, at least you can't remember, because if you remember, then you'll miss it, and that's the worst thing. And it's like, I don't know if he's in much better shape, but I guess. And honestly, at least his love interest is still alive. Mm-hmm. So they comfort him that way, and then they're like, okay, let's gather together. We need to go to this abandoned house. Diana hasn't been answering because obviously she was on the date, but now, later at night, she has run off to find Grant. I guess at this point, she's readying to leave with him without telling anybody. He's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I changed my mind. I'm coming with you. It's like, to leave the town? Your dad? What's happening? Maybe they were going to do a small trip before they left permanently. I don't know. Grant does not seem jazzed to see her. There's another guy walking with him, and she's like, oh, hello, forgetting my manners, how are you? He's like, yeah, I'm Steve or whatever, I'm the captain of the ship. And she's like, oh, cool, nice to meet you. She turns to Grant and is like, oh, you've got your own captain for the ship, that's fun. Where is it, by the way? And the guy next to Grant is like, what? Where's your ship? It's like, oh, I see what's happening here. And I did remember this. This is why I knew Grant comes back. Because I knew when he showed up and Grant was like rich suit wearing guy, I was like, no, it's not true. He's poor. Why? And then I was like, okay, this has to resolve at some point. So as it turns out, Grant has been pretending to be some rich kid from Australia with his own boat sailing the world for shits and gigs. He is, in fact, a lowly cruise shipman. Not enough to be paid attention to. I was like, okay, what a weird lie, dude. She's like a small town girl. I would understand if she was like a Vanderbilt. Like, her family has some money, but she's in Chance Harbor, Washington. I don't know if necessarily you needed to, like, shoot for opulence, you know?
I love how he's like, I haven't been completely honest with you. I might have exaggerated my position in regards to the boat. It's not mine. I'm just one of the crew. And then she's like, that's not an exaggeration, that's a lie.
That's a lie.
And she turns to walk away.
She leaves. Diana, I'm like, icon, my legend, because what the hell is that? And it cuts straight to the issue, right? Is that, like, it's not that I now think you're less. In fact, crazy of you to put that on me, to be like, you would have thought less of me if I was a crew member. No, it's because you've catfished me. And if you're lying about this, she says it later, what else is a lie? Because now I can't trust you. Diana's crying her eyes out at the cafe. Cassie comes over and is like, girl, you haven't been answering your phone. We're having an emergency. And Diana's like, well, I wish I could get 5 minutes to my goddamn self.
You know
Can
what?
one thing be about me and not about you, Cassie? And it's like, whoa.
No. She didn't.
Strays.
She was, I think she was mainly directing it towards the circle, where she was like, I always have to be the responsible one.
Yes.
Rising above it. She wasn't on some Faye, oh, it's Cassie and her drama again. She was more like, why do I always have to be the one who's up
She's
all
like,
the time?
why is all this magic bullshit always taking up so much of my life? And then thereafter does she like narrow it down and say, well, you know what? Clearly you've got something going on, so let's focus on that. And Cassie's like, okay. Okay. We'll deal with that one later. There are demons again. We're in trouble. Lock the hell in. Diana's like, all right, this shit again. Yeah, as John Blackwell and Samuel are moving, we do see in his head at some point a little wriggling, a little worming, which we are familiar with. That means there's a demon in his body. It's appropriate he's called Samuel, which Samael, Hellboy himself. Anyway, John Blackwell, instead of going to the abandoned house, leads him out into the harbor woods and is like, we need to sort this out before Eben and them get here so that he doesn't have the opportunity. Leads him to the woods. The circle gets to the abandoned house and they're like, okay, so we're here. Where's John Blackwell? And Cassie's like, he left first. so he should definitely be here first. Oh, wait. He's gonna take care of it by himself. He doesn't want us in trouble. And they're like, he has no magic. She's like, he's not gonna survive this. And then they all go sprinting. Cut to John Blackwell and Samuel in a playground, which was just, it felt more unsettling for the site where apparently a bunch of demons were summoned to be in the middle of a playground. There's a swing set, there's a seesaw, there's a slide, and it's just like, oh, I don't like this. John Blackwell points to the place and is like, that's where it happened. Don't get too close. You don't want that smoke. And then he picks up some piece of metal on the ground and starts drawing a symbol. Samuel's like, what are you doing? He's like, demons are powerful, but there's certain symbols that they can't cross. He's drawing a circle, he's drawing symbols around it, he's drawing it around them, and he's like, okay, so this should keep us safe? John throws the metal, steps back out of the circle, and is like, no, it'll keep me safe. The guy's like, what are you? And tries to step out, lands on the ground.
Once again, John Blackwell was like, they are not for him, Lipshin. They're for you.
Call an ambulance, but not for me. So he's entrapped. Demon Phil Samuel. He's like, I clocked that shit real early. You have to wake up earlier in the day to get me, little demon. And then he is like, I won't let Eben continue his plan. And then, as if summoned out of the shadows, Eben steps in and says, why, John? You were gonna do it the other time, why not now? And John's like, it was a mistake. And I do find it interesting that he says this with just Eben and Samuel and none of the like people he's trying to fool around. So I'm like, does he genuinely regret having done that? I don't know.
I was still confused as to how Sam was the sacrifice, because he was like, you've already been sacrificed. That's why the demon's in you. And I'm like, okay, so apparently you didn't need to die. So why were they chasing you?
I guess maybe he needed to be present when Eben was going to then summon the other demons.
I guess that's why Eben stepped out of the shadows. He was just waiting here, hoping Sam would show up.
He was laying the trap. What trap? Who knows? Because the witch hunters make no efforts to get Sam here. He just happens to get here. But he's like, I'm ready to do my shit. I don't know about you. The circle shows up while John and Eben are occupied. Jake is the one to step into the circle and crush the line.
Idiot.
I don't understand. It's not something you could have missed, right? Like, Sam is in some pretty bright light for him to be visible. Is it just idiocy, or?
I guess he didn't look at the ground. He's tall. His eye line is higher than mine.
Okay. Breaks the circle. Samuel immediately rotates his head 180 degrees and says, Sammy's gone. And then it's a demon. The circle's trying to fight the demon. They're putting their powers together. I don't know why Jake constantly gets the call-out moments to be like, circle, do this specific thing. It's like, surely Diana or Adam or Cassie. Why would Jake get the call?
Diana's having a bad day, and Jake is the one who's known about magic longer than the rest of them.
3 options there. We have options. This happened before.
Adam is also having a bad day.
I just don't get it. So they're like, focus on stopping his movements because they're trying to hold him in place. And they're like, why isn't it working? It isn't working. And then they were like, oh, the last time we tried to fight the demon and Melissa, our magic wouldn't work. Cassie's like, okay, let me try something. And because they mention it took Grandmama Jane and her crystal to stop the demon, I thought at this point Cassie was gonna pull out the crystal and use that. But instead she goes, let me try something. Holds out a piece of metal and then tries to burn the guy alive to get rid of the demon, I guess. And I was like, Cassie, that's your go-to? Crazy.
She said, you thought Adam was speaking like Logan today. No, I'm the Wolverine of the group.
So
and
true.
I will kill someone if I think it's what needs to be done.
And you know what? Fair enough. He was a witch hunter and now he's a demon. I don't have any, lost love for this. I'm just like, damn, there was maybe a more appropriate action we could have taken there. Doesn't burn for whatever reason.
For
the demon is shielded
reason,
from flame.
He's immune to fire, even though that's supposed to be
I
one
guess
of their
he's from
two
the fire
weaknesses.
circle of demons. I don't know.
He's a hellfire demon.
He's got fire immunity. He comes up and says, I am a demon, and my demon friends will come now. You will all die. And then John Blackwell from across the field lifts his hand, and you see the Balcoin symbol branded into his palm, and he crushes his fingers to the center of his palm, and you see the demon. Does it explode? Is that what he did? Does Samuel explode when he does this?
Like, either blood or black stuff starts to leak from Sam's eyes and mouth, and then his chest glows with the Balcoin symbol, and then he explodes.
So I thought I was hallucinating. I was so crazy.
My question
While
is,
all of this
my question is, while all this is happening, because the circle is trying to fight the demon, John is watching them try and fail to fight the demon. In the background, Eben is just doing his thing uninterrupted.
Eben's busy chanting.
I'm like, can someone stop Eben? He's standing right there.
I'm clocking in. I'm here to do my work. I go home. Okay, I came here to summon demons, and I will be summoning demons. Cutting his hand open, bleeding into a chasm to the abyss. And he successfully summons the demons and takes them into his form and then runs because he doesn't want the smoke. The circle tries to run after him and John's like, no, he's got all those demons in him. He's too powerful now. We will die. And so they call it a day.
I'm like, so why didn't you stop him before he did that?
That's my question. So what is the plan here? And now the thing about John Blackwell is that now we know he's being, I mean, we always kind of knew he was being suspicious. Every move he makes, I'm like, is this on purpose?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Because I'm like, you could have, even if we know that for whatever reason, Eben has protective magic around his physical body, so you can't kill him so easily, you could have drawn a circle around him while he was summoning the demons so that he couldn't leave. You just did it to this kid.
I don't know, man. But John and the circle go back to the abandoned house to lick their wounds because today was not a win. And all of a sudden, John Blackwell uses this moment as like a rallying cry. He starts talking about, we've been being killed since the 14th century, and we can't even live our lives in peace no more.
Magneto.
Truly! They don't announce when they attack us.
You told us you didn't have magic, Papa
Right.
John. And he's like, no,
What's that about?
I had to lie because, if I was using my black magic, Cassie, then you would have thought it was okay for you to do it. And I was trying to get you to go cold turkey because it was corrupting you. And I'm like, but you've been lying since you showed up.
Right. So that means for
doesn't
6 episodes, you've just had this and you've been using it, and what the hell? But Cassie's like, no, your magic is what saved me tonight. I don't know why you decided. I was like, Cassie, that's not the conclusion. It's not the conclusion we should reach from this. But okay. And John's like, no more. We will not be held down. We will not be oppressed by humanity, I guess. Which I'm like, yeah, I guess so. The witch hunters are humans.
They wish to cure
they
us.
are a problem.
But I say we are the cure.
We are Homo superior.
My Sir Ian McKellen impression, everyone.
You've had better ones. Listen, they can't all be great. I was like, truly aluta continua, my guy. I guess this is the revolution. With the power of this circle, we will do it. I think somebody is like, well, you just told us how much stronger our big op is than us. So how exactly are we supposed to no longer hide in the shadows, be who we are? Cassie's like, the crystals. And John looks at her with a proud smile, like, yes, my daughter. Each of your families has a crystal. I love that you can feel that, like, they're building the final arc of it in this very moment. He's like, each of your families has a crystal. Singularly, they are more powerful than anything you can do by yourself. But together, bound in their original form. And I started to sit up in my seat and I went, Voltron is real. Crystal Voltron is real. It's gonna happen. I don't know if I, like, remembered it in my subconscious or if I summoned it from the ether, but episodes ago I said I like that they all have these crystal shards. It would be really cute if they put them all together and they piloted it like a Voltron, like a Megazord. And it's actually happening. John is like, they brought it over in one piece, the first settlers in Salem, colonizers, but we'll move on. But the elders were worried about it being too powerful in one piece, so they split it up into 6 for each of the families to keep. If we find those, that'll give us the power to beat the witch hunters, and we'll finally be able to live free. And nobody's talking about what the implications of that are. It's like, is John Blackwell saying we will publicly announce ourselves and be like, witches are real, and we have nothing to fear from anyone? It's like, is that the goal? Surely a nuke from the United States government, no? Or like disappearings by the CIA weird department, which exists. I can assure you, if there's been witchcraft for 600 years, that department exists.
The X-Files.
Genuinely.
The Armory.
The Armory. But yeah, that's the rallying cry. And then Diana, I guess later, is followed home by Grant, which, what am I going to say about that?
I think he's waiting at her home.
That's worse.
He's like, I can explain. And she's like, I get it. You're a liar. It seems pretty simple.
He's like, oh, I've never done this before. I don't know what led me to it. It's your fault, actually. You were so damn beautiful. That damn smile. You were so pretty. I felt like I had to lie. And it's like, just like a bloody man. I can't stand his ass, actually.
Why does it always
I've never done that before. I'm proud to be a crewman of the ship. Clearly not. Clearly you're not. Clearly you want to be something you're not. I don't know, man. So she's like, what else have you lied about? And he's like, nothing. I've never lied before and I'll never lie again. I promise you. Give me a chance to show you I'm honest. And she's like,
but that's just what a liar would say.
Bye. And then he's like, give me 1 day. 1 day to prove that I'm for real. I'm like, all right.
It's so funny because at one point she's like, what else is a lie? Your name, your accent.
Right, your accent. He starts talking American. He's like, yeah, you're right. I did put that on. I thought that would be fancier. He's got like a deep South Texan accent. So he's like, give me a day. And she's like, fine, you get a day. And then she slams the door. And he starts grinning to himself. And I'm like, you got a pity day and a door shut on your face. Why do you think you've won this moment? Piss me off. I don't know why.
I appreciate that Dan is like, I'm not just hurt by the lying, which would be valid enough. But she hints without really saying it to him. But she's like, in my world, people who lie about who they are, they're dangerous. And it's like, because she's in a supernatural YA TV show. She can't be with people who are duplicitous.
There are ops literally from every corner in this girl's life. Of course, if someone's lying, oh, you're a witch hunter. Oh, you're an enemy witch. Oh, you're a demon. You're trying to kill me. Obviously, she cannot deal with this shit. But apparently he gets another chance because all men do in this show is win and lie. Finally, at the end, John Blackwell goes back to the site of the summoning and starts digging in the ground. And shocking absolutely no one, uncovers the bones of the human person that he sacrificed to summon those demons. Why did he need confirmation of this? I'm not sure. Maybe I missed something. Maybe it was purely for our benefit as the viewer, but then it makes no internal world sense. Don't know. They also don't really, because I thought we'd get more clarity on why Heather Barnes was there, but like,
yeah,
the demons that he summoned, like going into Heather, because they wanted to go into witches to get more power. And low-key, I think that John promised them the bodies of his circle so that they would have that power. But then they went into Heather Barnes, and then Amelia had to seal them away to protect everyone. How far is this place from the boat? Because I thought that happened at the boat, unless I'm mistaken. There's a lot of fuzziness about what exactly 16 years ago isn't a single point in time, and I feel like it's unclear what happened on the same day that everybody died, you know.
I'm going to assume the demon summoning was not the same day as the massacre, because by the time the massacre happened, it was some of us are trying to make a truce with Eben and crew, so it feels like some stuff had happened in between those 2 points.
So I guess Heather wasn't on the boat. Maybe they didn't explicitly say she was on the boat. They just say 16 years ago.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not even sure how many demons were in Heather, because they always speak about like several demons were in her, but only one came out when they released her from the spell, and then it went into Nick and then into Melissa.
The rest were in a suitcase that was buried in the woods. So actually, yeah, what?
I got that backwards. It went into Melissa and then into Nick.
Yeah. There were a bunch in a suitcase in the woods, and that's where I guess the other ones that John Blackwell summoned were, but like they weren't all in Heather. I don't know.
Also, there's the scene with Adam and Cassie.
Oh, God. I got blocked it out of my mind because of trauma. They're in the car. He apologizes for being hard on her dad because he's John Blackwell and he's untrustworthy as shit. A mistake, Adam, to go against your instincts.
Yes.
Because he has fooled everyone in this moment. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. No, he's not even a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's a wolf in a more tired wolf's clothing. Like, he's getting away with the tired dad thing. I just want to protect my daughter. I couldn't be evil vibe. Because he's like, he really saved us today.
I was confused by why Adam would choose now to be like, I was wrong about your father. I was like, were you? We've just caught him in a lie. He's just revealed that he's been lying about not having power.
Having magic, having told us for episodes that he didn't. I think this would make you more suspicious.
We just learned that he summoned demons. I'm not understanding.
A lot of the ending of this episode is really strange to me, but alas, she's like, yeah, well, I guess that showed you, huh? And it's like, okay, girly. He's like, you know what? He was talking some. This is what I think it is. Adam's getting radicalized. He was making some good points in there. Maybe that's what every bad, dumb thing we've experienced since finding out about our powers has been working us towards, so that we can finally actually do something. We can finally act. That's the most important thing right now. And Cassie's like, oh, the most important thing. For sure. And then he's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then he's like, Cassie, you were amazing out there.
And she's like, what? Huh? No, he says you were amazing today.
You were amazing.
Like, and then she's like, oh, what? He's like, today
and he's like,
the witches.
The way you used your magic to burn that dude, my God, incredible shit. My guy, you rocked it out there. You left it out all on the field. And it's the best you've ever done. Hell yeah, let me dap you up.
He said, you're one of the bros. I don't even think of you as a girl, you know?
I think of you as one of my guys. Adam's never been that guy before. Suddenly he's real bro-y.
Gosh. I blame Blackwell for this. He's out here with his John Blackwell was right t-shirt.
All his fault. Ruined what was slowly becoming one of my more enjoyed romances on the CW. God damn it. But that is Sacrifice. And that is it from me for this session.
Oh,
Any closing thoughts?
I was actually wrong. Faye, no, sorry, not Faye. Diana does shade Cassie when Cassie comes in.
Yes!
Cassie comes in and she's like, why haven't you been answering your phone? And Diana's literally like, because I don't want to.
Oh!
And then she's like, I've been looking for you everywhere. This is important. And she's like, of course, it always is. You know, Faye's right. You really are a drama queen.
She really are a drama queen.
Oh,
That's why I was like, I'm pretty sure she shades Cassie in this one. It's like, Diana, damn.
And then
I know you've got man troubles. It's not Cassie's fault. Well, the first man troubles was a little bit her fault. But this has nothing to do with her.
Then afterwards, she's like, yeah, the circle that I must always put everything on hold for. I must always be the responsible one. I'm getting tired of this. And I'm like, oh, I understand. It's hard being the responsible kid because they're all kids.
They are all kids. You would be remiss to think otherwise because of all the adult men they try to pair them with, but they're all kids.
She even says, it's so sad. She's like, can I just get 5 minutes for a coffee? It's even in a to-go cup, just in case the circle's in trouble.
That one did that hit. Yeah, it's tough. But the episodes are ramping up. It's the final 4 remaining, and it is clearly like gearing to be like a big thing.
Mm-hmm. If you think that John Blackwell sucks now.
Ooh, I have not as yet watched the other 2, but I vaguely remember something really bad.
I was
that
shook.
happened. Yeah. John Blackwell surpassing Charles Meade as the bastard man.
And that's saying something.
Really, really running that race to win. But you'll have to wait until next week to find out on that one. Until then, thank you for listening. If you would like to share any questions, thoughts, or just say hi, you can mail us at animalattackpod@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM Attack Pod. You'll find a link tree in our bio that has all our online stuff. That's it from us. Summon demons, pretend you still matter in a quote-unquote love triangle, and get your coffee in a to-go cup, because you never know what shit's waiting for you in the life of a witch. Cheers.
Bye.